As we noted, it's a big night for midterm primaries, including some marquee races in California we mentioned, like the battle for governor. And joining me right now is Steve Hilton, the Republican candidate endorsed by President Trump in that contest. Mr. Hilton, thank you so much for joining us. You're billing yourself as a change candidate. You've been endorsed by the current president, as we mentioned. How will Donald Trump's support help you in a state he lost by more than 20 percentage points in 2024?
Well, Gabe, it's great to be with you. And I just have to say, you've really made my day, perhaps my year, with the fact that Steve there, the great Steve Kornacki, actually talked about my race. I've been a fan for many, many years. So it's wonderful to be with you. Look, I understand that people will look at the endorsement of the president and look at the politics in California and say, well, that doesn't really help. Let me try and lay out how I see it. First of all, it is a primary. And of course, a big part of the primary is to get a big turnout among Republican voters. It's a top two primary. So it's not just Republican voters that we've been speaking to. We speak to everyone in this campaign, and my entire campaign is built in a pretty non-partisan way. It's just common sense, pragmatic things to cut people's costs, help businesses, fix our schools. But the second thing I think that's really important about the president's endorsement, and this will really come to the fore in the general election, which I plan to be one of the two participants in, is that I think it's helpful for Californians to have a candidate and then a governor who actually has a constructive relationship with the president, who can then work together, as the president said in his post today, to deliver good things for Californians. There are so many things we can do. For example, opening up energy production in California so we can lower gas prices, fighting fraud in our budget so we can return money to taxpayers, managing our forests so we can reduce the risk of massive wildfires. On all these things, you've actually got a governor today, Gavin Newsom, who's fighting the president and his team when they're trying to do common sense things to help California. I'll be very different.
And Mr. Hilton, you mentioned energy. That's a huge issue, of course, in California. You've actually focused a lot of your campaign on cost of living issues. So on that point, do you support the president's handling of the war in Iran, given the impact it has had on energy prices and inflation?
Well, my focus is on what we do in California on energy prices. And even with the war, of course, the war's increased oil prices across the board. But even on top of that increase, you've got a $2 elevated gas price in California today, over and above what's going on in the rest of the country. In fact, the gas prices you're seeing in the rest of the country that are causing an outcry in terms of their how high they are, that would actually be low for California prior to the war, because it's the policies of the Democrats in California that have given us the highest gas prices in the country, even though we have abundant oil reserves. One of the most incoherent parts of their policy is the fact that actually we are now importing nearly 80% of the oil that we use in California, even though we have abundant reserves here. That actually increases carbon emissions. So it's not even helping the environmental agenda that is all being done in the name of. So I think we just need some common sense here. While we're using oil and gas, let's use California oil and gas. That'll help us bring the costs down.
And Mr. Hilton, here's what the president posted on social media about you this morning. He said, California, vote today for Steve Hilton for governor. He'll work with me in the federal government. The money will flow because I have confidence in him. Do you read that as the president threatening to withhold federal funding from California unless you are elected?
No, I see it as a positive statement of how we can work constructively together. I think that the main point is actually that what we need to do in California is fix the problems that we've created here. Most of the things that are driving Californians crazy, the fact that we have the highest housing costs in the country, we don't build enough houses, the fact that we've got homelessness that really hasn't been had a dent put in it despite billions of dollars being spent over the years. The fact that our school results are among the worst in the country, even though we spend among the highest, $28,000 per student per year. All of these things are the result of things that we control in California. And I really think we need to, as Californians, understand that we have our destiny in our hands. It's what we do here in California that affects the daily lives of Californians more than anything else. And we've now got 56% of Californians in the latest poll saying that the state's going in the wrong direction and needs change. That's why I'm confident that if I get into the general election, as I plan to do, in November, despite what people may think, we will vote for change in California because people just can't take it anymore.
So California redrew its congressional map earlier this year. You opposed that effort. So do you also oppose redistricting efforts taken by Republican-controlled states in other parts of the country?
Yeah, these redistricting wars, I don't think were what we needed to have been focused on for the past, year or so, because I think the way to win elections is to persuade people you've got the best ideas and the best plans to execute, and that's certainly what I'm doing in California. Of course, it's important to remember that even before the redistricting that Gavin Newsom initiated this year in response, he claims, to what was going on elsewhere in the country, California was already heavily gerrymandered. In terms of the House seats, Republicans regularly get 40% of the vote in California in statewide elections, yet we only had 17% of the congressional seats. Now it's down to 6%. So it's gone even more extreme. But generally speaking, I think we want to focus on our plans to make people's lives better.
Steve Hilton, running for governor of California. We thank you so much for your time. Thank you and good luck tonight.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.